Well, we are running out of books in this series. Oh, we're gonna have to wait till next year. Another week they'll be all done. What am I supposed to do? I need to find another series. Well, I've got a couple of other ones I'm looking at. But welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Krstana. I hope we'll be friends and you can like my YouTube channel. And please check out Star Trek Next Generation, my recaps on Fridays. Also, my If Then episodes on Friday. If you like this author, then maybe you like that author. And Flashback Mondays, where we talk about all the books in Romantic Times Book Review. I pick at least 5 or 6. I try to pick 5 or 6 from each category: historicals, romance, contemporary romance, suspense, mystery, paranormal, urban, harlequin, erotic. I try to cover the whole stream there. And please go check out the last book, a couple of books ago, Murder on the Bowery, Bowery, the Victoria Thompson. For whatever reason, it was not shown to the general YouTube audience. So I usually get about 10 views per book, and this view got 3, and those are the family. So no one outside of us saw it. So if you are following the Victoria Thompson series, then please go check out the Bowery and spread it around and share it. We are also doing James Patterson's Alex Cross series, J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood, and of course we are up to book 24. Sorry for the lighting. This is a What You See, What You Get channel. No frills, no special editing. Murder on Wall Street. And this is book 24. And like I said, we've got Murder on Madison Square, Murder on Bedford, and Murder in Rose Hill. And then that's it. Till next year. We have to wait a whole year for a new one. But I just found a couple of other ones, so we'll have to get to those. The lighting is really, really bad today. Sorry about that. If you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. So anyways, if you've been following me all these books, you know that Sarah Brandt was a midwife, and she had been estranged from her family, and we've gotten close to the family. In fact, it's come to the almost point that her family gets involved in solving the mysteries now. Frank Malloy inherited some money, so he's no longer a detective. They kicked him out. However, because he likes to detect and he likes to investigate, and it's what he does, him and Gino have formed a detective agency, Confidential Inquiries, and Maeve, the girl that was from the home with Catherine, has become family. That Catherine has been adopted by Frank and Sarah, and so has Frank's son Brian has also been adopted. And if you didn't know it, I've been learning sign language. Well, because I'm trying to learn it to teach, and I'm learning because John Matthew in the Black Dagger Brotherhood book also signs. He can't speak, but he can sign and he can hear. Whereas Brian, the son, no, this is girls, so son's up here. Son, is completely deaf. So we're working on that. So I'm trying to learn my signs, and this sun is really bad today. Sorry about that. See if I can. But anyways, and we haven't seen the last couple of books. We had Mrs. Ellsworth is a neighbor, and she's been a recurring character, and she's been a prominent character through most of the books. But the last couple, she's been missing, and then a couple of books ago, she, her son's family, he's getting married, and it was his whole story, so she was a little more prominent, and it was nice to see her again. So she's going to be prominent in the next book or so again, but I've been missing her and her little sayings. So we got a late visit from her in the last book, and we get a late visit from her in this book. We also see our new recurring, a new familiar face who started in 3 books ago, and he was became a Frank Malloy came across Jack Robinson 3 books ago, and then in the last book, they played matchmaker between Robinson and Jocelyn. Jocelyn had uh, not wealthy but not low class either, and her parents she had been raped by a horrible man, and because her parents were afraid of society, they were going to ship her off to Europe and have the child and then have it adopted out. But they ended up sending her to Sarah Brandt's new maternity house, where pregnant women can go and have their baby and then hang out for a few months while they decide what their lives going to happen. And so they sent her because Sarah was missing doing her midwifery, and she didn't really want to have to run out in the middle of the night either. And Frank suggested now that they had this money, they could start this agency. So they've done that, and they've done pretty well on it. It's become quite successful. So Jocelyn was one of the girls there, and they got to know her. Oops, piece of dust. And one thing led to another, and Sarah had this idea to set her up with Jack, and they have got along really, really well. The marriage is working out, and now it's time for the baby to arrive. And Jocelyn, we start the book off with Sarah tending to her, and Sarah's telling her, not quite yet, give it a couple of days yet, and Jocelyn wants it out now. All pregnant women, when they get to that point, they all want it out. So it's just interesting to see that. And we find out who the client is. We don't see him much in the book, but Jack Robinson was an investor in Mr. HAYDEN NORCROSS has been killed. And because he was the person that raped Jocelyn, and because Robinson, is now married to Jocelyn, he was trying to seek revenge against HAYDEN, but he wasn't going to do it with guns or bullets or anything like that. He was going to do it through the banking system where HAYDEN works. He was going to scam him somehow that way. And so it's no, my association with Norcross was all completely legal. He worked for his father's investment bank, and he was putting a deal together for which I was an investor. Wait, what is an investment bank? As obviously you understand, it's not like a regular bank. You just can't walk in and open an account. You have to deposit at least $50,000 with them before they'll even do business with you. And then what kind of business do they do? Frank asked. They arrange financing for various enterprises, railroad mergers or company expansions, or anything that requires a large investment of capital, really, and promises a generous return. So only rich clients need apply. Yes, rich clients who can afford to lose a few $100,000 now and then, while most of the time they double their money in a matter of weeks. I guess that's the kind of thing that would appeal to a gambler like you. I own gambling houses, but I never gambled. Only a fool risks his money like that, because as I know only too well, the house always wins. So he explains how he was going to do his thing and get revenge, but then HAYDEN ended up dead, and he didn't want the cops thinking that he killed HAYDEN. So he's going to pay Frank to discover who actually killed HAYDEN. And apparently HAYDEN is in a very, 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 very wealthy family, even more wealthier than the Deckers. And it also comes to light later on. Oh, before I forget, be prepared for spoilers, lots and lots and lots and lots of spoilers. I spoil all the characters. I read the books for the character progression from book to book to book. I won't tell you who the murderer is. I won't spoil that part, but I will spoil the entire rest of the book. So apparently, Norcross was married to a young lady, Violet Adrison, and her parents blackmailed HAYDEN into marrying their daughter because he had raped their daughter. but they lived with the blinders on it, and they didn't believe that her daughter had been seduced or raped or anything like that against her will. They lived with blinders, even though the girl didn't want to do the marriage. They made her do the marriage. They also handed over a dowry, and it was horrible because it comes to light later on that Hayden beat her and was starting to brainwash Violet, and it was just going horribly wrong. And so because he was killed in Wall Street type situation, Frank, Sarah suggests that Frank enlist her parents in solving this one. And her parents, if you read a couple of books ago, when Sarah and Frank went on their honeymoon, the Deckers, along with Maeve and Gino, actually conducted their own investigation without Sarah and Frank. Yeah, they're really getting into this detective agency thing and solving these mysteries. They are enjoying the heck out of themselves. So we learn more about the families as the book go along. Sarah discovers that Violet is with child, but she's also been severely beaten. She's got bruises all over her body, and she doesn't believe anybody when they tell her Hayden is dead because he's starting to brainwash her. And they also go to the bank, and they discover that Bram, that's the owner of the bank, had an illegitimate son who Hayden had framed for embezzling, but it was Hayden that embezzled, but he framed his half brother because he didn't like his half brother. And once Hayden was dead, the father promoted the other son back into the company. And Sarah and them do a lot of questioning of a lot of people. They do a lot of investigations. They actually talk with Bram, the father, who was first on the murder scene, and apparently him and a couple other people cleaned up the murder scene before calling the cops. Apparently the guy was nude. They put his clothes on. They cleaned up all the blood. So they destroyed tons and tons of evidence. They claimed a Chinese woman did the murder. It later comes to light that it was there's only like 5 Chinese women in all of New York because of that law that wasn't allowing Chinese women into the country. And it was actually somebody that was dressed up to look like with the veil and stuff, so they never saw the face. So they investigate all that. Gino and Maeve have some really, really cute moments. You'll just have to read it. It's just, they're just so cute. And especially when Gino takes Maeve to his mom's house for dinner. That's a huge, big step. An Italian meal, an Italian family. Oh, somebody get me some pasta. Somebody get me some spaghetti. Somebody get me some pizza. Oh, and speaking of pizza, you got to go check out my Julie McWane books, my series, the time travel ones, and also go check out the If Then time travel ones. I kept thinking the chick needs her love interest in the book. He has relatives in Italy, and I kept going, bring these English people up to par. Have them send out for pasta and bread and sauce and cheese to make pizza. I mentioned that in one of those videos, but we're getting off the track here. So they do a lot of investigations. They question the families involved. They go back and forth. They make a lot of discoveries about the families, their relationships to everybody. Somebody else get killed, and we finally get a visit from Mrs. Ellsworth. Oh, I love Mrs. Ellsworth. She's just the best. So we have 2 families. We have the NORCROSS husband and wife, and then Hayden. And Hayden was killed. And Hayden was married to Violet. So now she's a widow with the NORCROSSes. But her parents, the Andersons, it's not, and it's spelled, it's something like that. But it's not spelled that way. Lewis and the mother, we have those people. And then we have the mistress and Wendell. And apparently, according to the rumor mill, Bram would have left Mrs. Norcross years ago, but apparently Hayden killed his little sister, and the wife was afraid of the kid and didn't want to be left alone with the kid, so she refused to divorce the husband. So he kept the mistress on the side for years, and as she's still there today, and he still supports her too. He was rich enough to do that. But so we have those three groups, and then we end up having a few murders. So please read the book to go along with Sarah and Frank and Maeve and Gino. Even Maeve gets in on the act. She's going to become more important, I think, in the detective agency as things goes on. I really do, and I'm excited to get to the next book, but I'm sad because as we get to the next book, we're running out of books. But the murderer will surprise you. There are some twists and turns. Sarah and Maeve get themselves in a little situation that needs to be resolved. Gino and Maeve at the Italian dinner is so cute. It's just so cute. I enjoyed the heck out of that. And Mrs. Ellsworth has some family news. And so you have to check out Mrs. Ellsworth's news at the end of the book. Oops. I gotta do my volunteer log. But I have to share with you the author's note at the end. I love the author's notes. I love the author notes in the end of the book. So many readers have asked when Jack Robinson would return, and I must confess I wanted to see him again myself. So it was fun to visit him and Jocelyn again. Investment banking began during the Civil War era and continues today. I read a wonderful novel, The Rich Are Different by Susan Howard, which introduced me to the world and gave me the idea for this book. Opium was viewed as a wonder drug in early times. One of the characters is addicted to opium. So we'll just skip over that part. But I wanted to get readers of my Gaslight Murder in Chinatown often wonder if it's true that Chinamen often married Irish girls. This is perfectly true. The government had allowed Chinese men to immigrate to the United States to help build the railroad, but they forbid the Chinese from women immigrating because they wanted the men to return to China. Officials believed that the men would return to China if they didn't have any Chinese women to marry. And there's also the idea from Theodore Ellsworth's dream came from real life. Long ago, I don't want to spoil it. I want you to read it for yourself. Come here. That's another hint. That's another spoiler. But you have to join Sarah and Maeve and Gino and Frank as they solve this mystery. Miss Malloy, even Frank's mom gets in on the act a little bit, giving her opinion, and we have some cute scenes with the kids. We do his visit to the zoo and some other things. So it's just awesome. And to find out who those really nasty people are that are killing family members because they've had it too much, they've been pressured too much. It's the book. So please check it out and please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you so much.